How have you been? I hope you've been well. I have Panda Express today, and you guys wanted the acting story time, so I'm gonna give that to you today. Orange chicken, chow mein, and this is string bean and chicken. I actually like this. Pretty unpopular, but I do like. Focus, please. Oh, that's green bean. No. String bean. There we go. That's weird. So, I was about 8 years old when my mom was like thinking of acting. My mom worked in the film industry, so naturally she thought acting might be something I'm into. So, and this is how my mom saw it, and it kind of makes sense from an adult's perspective, but my mom was passionate about film, so she thought, hey, do you want to try acting? And me, I see people on TV and child actors who like they're having fun, and I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Me and my mom were both naive in the fact that, you know, about the child acting industry. Even though my mom worked in film, she didn't work directly with the actors and wasn't in the rooms when, you know, they would, you know, those conversations that directors and actors have. She was just the editor, piecing together things based on instructions from other studios like miles and miles away from us. I've Powerade, so I'm gonna sip on that real quick. Okay, more than a sip. My mom was doing what video editors now are doing today, but in a more traditional sense. That's what my mom did. So yeah. But there's a few things about me that would not make me a desired candidate in acting. And also you have to remember this is the mid-2005s. So they were looking for a certain type of model. Specifically, they're looking for kids who can sing, because during this time there was a craze. It was like a sensational craze for you know, kid actors who can sing. This was right before Justin Bieber blew up. But there were the not Selena Gomez yet. No. I can't remember the child actors they were comparing at the time. Please help me down in the comments. I'm actually at a brain fart, but there were a lot of children actors who were in the singing industry as well during that time. And they that next up. So I remember my mom told me that, you know, if you want to do this and you're serious about this, that we have to start off small. We can't just go and do Sweet Life of Zack of Cody, you know. We can't audition for That's So Raven. We have to build up your image and, you know, stuff like that. So I originally went to audition for a it was like a lightsabers commercial. But it was not national. I think it was just specific to the Midwest, or maybe even Illinois, I'm not sure. Of course, I was very, very, very nervous. Because they had to sit in like this lobby area, like at a dentist's office. And then they'll just call you in, like a dentist's office. And then they would, you would be in front of these people, and you would have to act out certain lines that you rehearsed the night before. I did not rehearse the night before because I had school, it was the weekend, I was looking to chill, but I forgot about the audition. So I'm like in the lobby trying to memorize my lines, trying to find some type of pattern in which I can figure out how to remember my lines as we go along. And then at some point this lady came in and she says, "Okay, Arthur, you're up." And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? And I remember there was this room and it had a green screen behind it. And there are like 3 or 4 adults sitting across at a table. I want to say it was like 3 ladies and a guy, or I know there are predominantly ladies in the room. So they tell me to start, and this is one big thing about me. I took it as a presentation, not necessarily acting, which is like, there was a dissonance. So after I finished, I thought I did well. And he essentially was like, "Hey, you know, that's good, but you really gotta sell that lifesavers are like your favorite candy." And one thing is that I'm blunt, and I'm like, even as a kid I was very blunt and honest. So in my head I'm like, no, they're not, but okay, whatever. I think they made me do it like 7 or so times. And yeah, about 7 or so times. And then they just say, "Okay, you know, thank you for auditioning." And me and my mom, we leave and we go home. Around this point in time, I was pretty certain that they weren't going to choose me. And ironically, when I was leaving the audition, I saw one of my classmates in the lobby, and we just briefly looked at each other and said, oh, you know. So that happened. passed. I'm just, carrying on with life. And my mom says, oh, this weekend, we have to go back. We have to, actually, no, not go back, but we have to meet up at this woman's house. And I'm like, what? Like, can't you just go by yourself? She's like, no, like, you have to come with me. So, time passes, and then the weekend finally comes. I want to say she lived in the city, but my memory's so hazy. Prior to like 2000, when I was a little kid. Like 9 and back, just fuzzy now. A lot more important events happened that occupy my memory now. But I want to say she lived, I think maybe the Lincoln Park area, just because I'm trying to remember the way the buildings look. The buildings looked a bit different. People who live in Chicago, you know about Lincoln Park architecture. So I remember going into this woman's house. It's one of those big step, two-story, like rectangular buildings. I don't know what to call them. So we go inside this woman's building, and she's just like a older woman. Apparently, she was able to live in Lincoln Park and buy a house in Lincoln Park because she was a very good agent. But now that she's in her later years, she doesn't charge as much. So I guess her and my mom had an exchange. And come to find out, I made it to the final round of the commercial, which was funny because I thought I absolutely bombed it. So she tells my mom, hey, Garland and I need to actually get to have a bond with each other. So, you can sit here and we're gonna talk in my office. So my mom sits in her living room and she's just kind of like watching the TV, and I go in this room with this lady. She introduces herself, she asks what my hobbies are, stuff like that. And she goes over to like this little desk that she has, this computer, and she asked me to stand by her desk. And she asked, like, what are your talents? And once again, I'm a very introverted kid. So my talents are, reading and writing and stuff like that. Like, asking me what I like to do in my free time. And when I told her this, she was like, no. I'm like, what? And she's like, I'm sorry, but I mean, like, what are your talents in terms of acting? And it was just like, it was like a jarring thing for me. Because someone that young, I never thought about that question. And then instinctively, I just said, yeah, I can sing. She's like, oh, seriously? Yeah, for real? Okay, sing me a song. Guys, when I tell you, and I never told anybody this, and this is something I will bring to my grave, but since I'm anonymous, it's fine. I sang a Beyonce song to this lady for about like 30 seconds. I just remember she stopped me, she thanked me, and then her and my mom had a brief chat, and then me and my mom just left. Oh, sorry. It was crazy. So, about maybe 6 or so months pass, and of course, I didn't get the part, you know. I don't know why an agent was needed for the final interview, but I guess my mom was just trying to be proactive in the case that I did get it, and just wanting to know the processes. But eventually, the commercial does come on. And ironically, it was a very low resolution, like local feeling commercial, if that makes sense. It wasn't like a high-end commercial for it. I remember that classmate that I told you was in the lobby. She was the person who got the part. And I remember the next day at school, people were like surrounding her desk like, oh my god, I saw you in the commercial last night, that's amazing. Now that I think about it, it is kind of crazy how life is completely different now. Like, now, like, TV was king, you know? Like, being in a commercial during the mid 2000s was much more fulfilling than being in a commercial now, because nobody really watches TV anymore. Look at me, I'm on YouTube right now, you know, so it's kind of funny, it's kind of crazy. One sec. So I have some news, and it's not bad news, and you guys probably won't notice it, but this is the last time I'm making a video at this desk. It has been real. It has treated me absolutely well. And it's time for change. This is also my work desk, but this table is so big that half of it is going to be reserved for me making these videos. So the lighting may change a bit coming from this angle. But nevertheless, this video should be